Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on working from a home office. I'm Mike Clem, a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I'll be your host. Our presenter today is Cliff Ennico. More on Cliff in just a minute. But first, some brief information about SCORE. SCORE is a nationwide organization including over 11,000 volunteers in 320 offices around the country. SCORE is part of the Small Business Administration. SCORE Fairfield County is an organization of more than 130 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer 3 primary value-added services to small business owners. Could you show the next slide, please? First of all, we offer free one-on-one counseling, face-to-face, telephone, email, and video services, which can be accessed via our Request Mentor link on our website or via the link on the screen. Could you show the next slide, please? In addition to offering free one-on-one counseling, we offer educational workshops and webinars, including over 150 programs yearly. And at the moment, we're offering exclusive webinars in the current environment. In addition to that, our third main service is offering extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject experts at your disposal. Our next webinar is tomorrow, Wednesday, April 1st at 12 noon. The topic will be Tech Safety While Working From Home with Budley Freund presenting. Budley will also be joining Cliff today on part of today's webinar. Look for the specifics on tomorrow's webinars on our website at fairfieldcounty.score.org. Some information about today's event. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It is located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar today will end sharply at 1 p.m. to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at fairfieldcounty.score.org within the next couple of days. Now, our speaker, Cliff Ennico, is the former host of public television's very popular Moneyhunt show for entrepreneurs. Cliff is a leading small business expert and author of the nationally syndicated newspaper column, Succeeding in Your Business. He is the author of several books on small business law and finance, including The Crowdfunding Handbook and Small Business Survival Guide, and has also lectured nationwide on entrepreneurship and related topics to business groups and bar associates. It's now time to turn it over to Cliff. Cliff, I'll give it over to you.
Hey, thank you, Mike, and great introduction. And first of all, thanks to everybody here from taking some time off from your no doubt busy schedule. I can just picture all of you, working at home with 3 kids at home, each on their own laptops, learning different stuff online, and your spouse is also running businesses from his or her laptop and stuff like that. I can just imagine what things look like in your house. This is a topic I actually know quite a bit about. You are all working today the way that I have been working for the last 24 years of my life. Not this August, but next August, 2021, I will be celebrating 25 years of working out of my spare bedroom in my bathroom in bunny slippers. I have not left the spare bedroom in that time. My wife puts all the food under the door, and somehow it miraculously disappeared. And I'm only kidding about that. But seriously, it's sort of interesting now that everybody in the world is working the way that I always have, and once you get used to it, I'll tell you, it's absolutely wonderful. It's amazing how much more productive you can be without all the distractions that you have in a traditional office environment. But more on that in a little bit. First of all, I have to prove First of all, I have to prove that I am an attorney, and this is how I do it. These are the usual disclaimers that we do in all of our SCORE presentations. The most important one is the one on the top. And, although we will get into some legal and tax stuff in the course of this program, I hope to say some things about the home office deduction later in the hour. But nothing on this program should be construed as legal or tax advice. There's a very big difference between legal information, this is what the law is generally all about, and legal advice, this is what you should do, Joe, and Jane, this is why you should do it differently. That's something we really can't do on any SCORE presentation. That's the sort of thing, quite frankly, that you need to get. That's the advice you need to get from a lawyer or an accountant that's looking out for your interests. And frankly, you may have to pay them a little bit of money, but it's well worth it. So today we are all telecommuters now. That's the big message here. No secret here. Thanks to COVID-19, just about everyone in the U.S. is learning the joys and experiencing the horrors of working from home. There are several different categories of home-based workers, and I'm going to try to cover as many of them as I can. Many of you on the call may be telecommuters who are fully employed. You are working for an employer, but you are working from a home office, perhaps for the first time. But since this is SCORE, I'm going to assume that most of you are self-employed. You are contractors and self-employed people like I am. There may be one or two virtual companies on the call. These are entrepreneurial startups with networked home offices. These companies do not have a location in the physical world. They are a network of interconnected computers. You're seeing more and more of that, especially in the younger generations. A lot of the early stage tech companies I see coming out of colleges and universities are set up this way. And then last but not least, part-timers, people who are maybe have a day job or maybe they're full-time homemakers, but they've got a little side business selling stuff on eBay or Amazon. A little statistic right now, Amazon has over 2.5 million what they call third-party sellers, people who are making either a full or a part-time living selling stuff on the Amazon platform. Maybe some people on this call are among them. If you are, I've written a whole bunch of books for you, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, something I don't have to tell you, working from home isn't for sissies. It takes discipline. And in a number of ways. I like to refer to the 7 enemies of the home-based entrepreneur, people who work out of their homes. And the biggest one, and let's just get this, is loneliness. Now, maybe that's not an issue for you if you've got kids and a spouse and you're all working from your laptops at home. Maybe that's less of an issue than it would be. But there are times, and I will share in the last 24 years, when where the only thing that I ever heard in my home office is the echo of my own brain. It can get lonely. There are entire days, especially when I'm writing a book, if I'm on deadline for an article or something where I really have to put my head down. There are days and sometimes weeks where I just don't see other carbon-based life forms. And that can get to you after a while. It can change the way you think. It can change the way you look at the world. So finding a way to deal with loneliness, especially now, those of us who are sequestered and engaged in social distancing. If you do live alone, if you do not have family members living with you, you have to do something to cope with the loneliness. Find at least 1 or 2 time slots in a day where you just call a friend, a coworker, a loved one, maybe an elderly family member, and just shoot the bull with them for a few minutes. It helps to get over the sense that you are completely isolated from humanity. Your spouse and family members, if they are around, especially your spouse, because now that you are home working full time, they tend to think that you are now the property manager for the home. That can be that way. It could be that way for a lot of people. They expect you they have a honey-do list, and they expect that to be equal priority, to have equal priority with whatever your work obligations may be. That is something that has to be managed. I will offer some advice, at least, I'm not so sure it's advice, but I'm going to tell you how I deal with it. And you can decide if it's something that'll work for you or not. Temptations. There are many around the house. And one of the biggest, especially for me, those of you who have met me will know I'm something of a plus-size individual. I wasn't always that way. For some reason, before I started working out of the house, I never had trouble managing my weight. Once I started working out of the house, I discovered all of a sudden I had the best catering service in the entire world. Before I started working out of the home, I always worked in offices that were in very remote locations. It took a lot of work to get out of the office, go to someplace, order the food, bring it back, eat it. Very often I just went skipping lunches. That is not something I do now. The refrigerator is always there and it beckons to me in a very big way. Household chores. You see things that need fixing, things you never noticed before because, frankly, you weren't around enough to notice them. Obviously not such a big issue now, but babysitting contractors can be a major issue when you work out of the home. Since you are the one working out of the home, you are the one who's going to be expected to deal with the contractor when the furnace or AC breaks down. That's just how it is. You have to watch out for habit, ritual, and routine. For many years, I was a victim of what I call the iron triangle. That is, every day I would go from my home office to my UPS store, which is where I pick up my mail. I don't have my business mail come to the house. I use a UPS store mailing address. Very good idea, by the way. If this lasts for more than a month or two, it might be a good idea to have your mail go there rather than to your home. It's a little bit more efficient. And then the third the third point of the iron triangle was the gym. Sadly, that is not, my gym unfortunately closed down about a year ago. So that part of the iron triangle has gone now. It's more like an iron line that goes between me and my UPS store every day. But you have to watch out for that routine because it can take you over. Letting yourself go in many ways. I will share this with you. Those of you who are working out of the home for the very first time, there is one thing you can do that will be very, very helpful to both you and your family members. Take a yellow Post-it note, write one word on it, and I'll tell you what the word is in a minute, and just take this and stick it on the door going out to the garage or the front door or however you get in and out of your house to pick up the mail or go to the grocery store or whatever. And the one word is pants ? Take a yellow Post-it note, write pants ? on it, and put it on the door. However you leave the house, trust me, it will save your life and your reputation with the neighbors. It's true. It's very easy. I just saw an article in the Wall Street Journal yesterday about people who are working out of their homes and they don't actually wear pants when they are on webinars. That is actually a very big mistake. You should always wear clothes. If you do spill hot coffee in your lap, you will have to stand up, and then you do not want the world to see anything there. So just seriously, watch out letting yourself go. Your clients and customers, believe it or not, can be a big issue. This is a major one for me. Once people know that you work out of your home, they expect a real-time response. Hey, Cliff, I know it's Saturday night at 10 o'clock, but I know you're home and I know you're working. That's going to be one of the big issues, especially for self-employed people during this whole pandemic. People know you're working out of the house, so they will assume that you are there. You can't say, well, I was out running errands. Basically, you weren't. And people know that. You're going to have to find a way of managing that and letting people know that even though it is a pandemic and you're working from home, you're still keeping somewhat regular office hours to manage their expectations. And then the lack of physical and time barriers between work and private life. Your work is everywhere. When you work out of your spare bedroom or from a laptop on the living room table, you can work anytime. The office is always there. It beckons to you. It can lead to poor time management and or workaholism. There's no barriers between your office life and your home life. There are people who just cannot work from home, and these people are going through hell right now with the pandemic because it's something that they can't deal with. The key to working out of a house is planning. You should plan every day. This is something you should do anyway, even if you work in an office, but it becomes really critical when you are working from home. You should use an hourly planner. These are two wonderful tools. One's for iPhones and the other is for Android smartphones. These are wonderful hourly planners that you can download to your phone, and it automatically updates with your schedule, your phone calls, whatever it is, though, a webinar like this one. For weekly planning, I'm old school. I still use a paper dayminder calendar. You can find these at Staples or Office Max. I think they are still open during the pandemic. People can correct me if that's not the case, but I believe they are open. Set you back around $20. I always buy mine the last week in December because the new ones come out for the following year, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me. There are digital solutions for this as well, but I'm old school. I still like the feel of a paper calendar, and make sure you keep it up to date. The most important thing. There are two key rules to time management. I was originally supposed to speak about time management today. That didn't happen, obviously, because of the pandemic. But there are two key rules of time management when you work from a home office. Number one is budget time when you will do nothing but answer emails and phone calls. Emails and phone calls are the two biggest interruptions you have when you work from a home office. And it's always a good idea to sort of budget time in your day when you will do nothing but answer them and ignore them outside of that. So for example, for me, that is usually between 10 and 11 in the morning and 4 and 5 in the afternoon. Those are my 2 hourly blocks where I do nothing but answer emails and phone calls. A lot of you who try to communicate with me, you'll send me an email at 10 in the morning. I sometimes don't get back to you till 4 in the afternoon. That's what's going on. During the rest of my day, I am doing other things. I'm drafting contracts for my clients. I'm putting together programs like this one. I'm running a chapter for my next book. That's all the stuff that I'm doing. Don't trust me, I am busy. It's just that I don't want to be interrupted every 5 minutes with emails and phone calls. Once you start giving into that, it gets very hard to manage your time, whether you work out of your home or not. Then the second rule is block out times when you will not look at your computer at all, or your smartphone at all, whatever it is, your laptop, your tablet, whatever it is you're working off of. I make it a policy never to answer emails or voice messages after 3 p.m. on Fridays, afternoon on Saturdays, or any time on Sundays, unless I have a deal closing on Monday. I do a lot of M&A work, merger and acquisition work. When you're working on a deal like that, everything, it becomes 24/7. There's emails and phone calls going constantly. Obviously, if I have a deal closing on Monday, I will deal with emails and phone calls relating to that matter over the weekend, but anything else is going to have to wait until I get my deal closed. Why after 3 p.m. on Fridays? Because I've discovered the only people who call me after 3 p.m. on Fridays are people that want to ruin my weekend. And quite frankly, most of them can wait until Monday. I am not a brain surgeon. The work that I do is not life or death. People will not die if I don't respond to them the same day. So I just make that a very strict rule. Include office hours in your email signature line. If you do not have a signature line on your email, you're actually wasting a very big marketing opportunity. That's a great way for you to market what you do. If you look at my email signature line, I got everything in there. I got my mailing address, my phone, my fax, my hours of operation. I've even got a list of my last 3 books that I've written. It's a wonderful way to get messages out to people, as to who you are and what you do. But besides the marketing benefit, include office hours in your voice message too. Say, I will be responding to calls, during the pandemic. I will be working, from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Let people know, manage their expectations. So if you don't get back to them right away, you don't have an angry client or an angry boss on your head. For those of you who are self-employed, consider charging a premium rate for being responsive on weekends. I will very frequently do that. If a client calls me on Friday with a rush urgent matter that must be done by Monday, and they're trying to kill my weekend, I will say, okay, fine, I'm in a service business. Just so you know, though, my normal rate of $400 an hour will not apply. Just so you know, I charge double duty for weekends. It will be $800 an hour. Will that be acceptable to you? Most of the time, the answer is, you know what, Cliff, it can wait till Monday. That's okay. That's a great way to manage your time. Simply saying, you're disrupting my plans. I'm going to have to disappoint my spouse, my kids. I think I deserve something extra for that. If you're self-employed, you can get away with that. Do not try using that with your boss, by the way, if you're telecommuting. That strategy will absolutely not work. it will backfire. All right. Prioritize your email inbox. This is very, very important when you are working from home. You have to do triage. The word triage, it's a French word. It actually comes from World War I. Whenever there was a big battle in World War I and they brought the wounded back to the medics headquarters, those of you who remember the MASH TV show from the 70s, you remember what that was all about. The doctors would basically look at people quickly and they would divide them into 3 piles. Pile number 1 was perform surgery immediately to try to save them. Pile number 2 is these guys aren't injured so badly they can wait, just give them some painkillers, we'll get to them when we can. Pile 3 is these people are too far gone, just give them some painkillers, let them die peacefully. That is what triage actually meant in World War I. You need to do the same thing with your email mailbox. Not everything that comes in is of equal importance. First, get rid of the obvious junk, or send them to the spam folder. I mean, when I turn on my computer in the morning, half the stuff that's there is just utter garbage. Click on, select them and delete them. Don't even read them. Don't waste any time on them. If you click first, you might actually download some ransomware. A lot of these are bogus spam messages or they're phishing expeditions. This is one of the best ways to avoid fraud. Secondly, scan the remaining emails quickly. And if an email can be answered in 60 seconds or less, or 25 words or less, answer those first, whether they are important or not. Do the ones that can be answered quickly. So someone is saying, hey, Cliff, we're going to do a dry run for our webinar tomorrow. Are you available at 2 p.m.? Yes, please go ahead. Send me the invite. That takes all of 10 seconds to answer, and clean those up and then delete those too. Move those to a file folder, or delete them. Get those out of the way. Then now you should be left with just the more important emails. Draft responses to them, and don't be afraid to bill for your time. It takes, if someone asks me, it has a complicated legal question, it takes me about 15 or 20 minutes to respond to that. That's $100. I'm $400 an hour. So that's money. That's important money. A lot of people ignore that. And a lot of people also expect that emails are free. Well, that's true if you are answering emails like, are you free, for a call at 12 o'clock? You probably shouldn't draft for those. But if someone's asking for legal advice and I'm actually taking the time out to respond to that, I have no problem billing for my time. I think that's important that you do that. Don't cheat yourself ever. Then if there's time left over, if you still have time within the hour that you have blocked out of your schedule, answer the remaining emails. And I do it in chronological order, the early ones first. Okay. For some common email inquiries, I draft a master response. I get a lot of emails. So for example, people will send me very sort of weird things, which I'm not actually going to respond to as a lawyer, but it might make a great topic for my column. I write a weekly syndicated column for Creator Syndicate in Los Angeles called Succeeding in Your Business. And sometimes, a crazy question, well, it's something I'm not going to spend time answering as a lawyer. I may want to deal with it in one of my future columns. So I have an email which I have already prepared, and I just can cut and paste that as a response in 2 seconds saying, this is a great topic. I may address this in a future column. Thank you for supporting Succeeding in Your Business. That saves you a lot of time if you can dress, master responses to things, and save them in a separate folder. If you run out of time, so we're at the end of your hour now and you still haven't answered all the emails that have come in, send a short message saying, I'm backed up today, but we'll get back to you later today, early tomorrow. And then send that as a response to all the emails that are remaining. Go back to whatever it was you were doing, and then when you get to the next block of time where you're going to answer emails, respond to those first. Most people can wait 24 hours for a response. I find, unless of course you are an emergency provider, in which case you're probably not working from home at all. Okay, how do we deal with interruptions? No matter what you do, no matter how well you plan, interruptions happen. They are sometimes necessary, but you can control them by developing rules or protocols for when you will accept them, and when you won't. My accountant, who I absolutely adore, she's a lovely lady. She lives in upstate Connecticut. She works out of the home as I do, and she has over 300 very active small business clients. Tax season around her house, she is working almost 24/7, especially at this time of the year. She is very grateful that the IRS has decided to delay the tax filing date until July 15th. Normally, this time of year, she's working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. She also has 3 very active teenage children who are probably stuck at home and driving her crazy. So whenever something happens and she's working, she yells out at the top of their voice, "Is there blood?" That is her. Is there blood? If the answer is yes, she stops what she's doing and she deals with it. If the answer is no, she continues working. Now, that's a very simple and a very cute example of an interruption protocol. Develop rules for when you will accept interruptions and when you don't. How do you deal with honeydews? Your spouse wants you to do a lot of chores around the house, whatever. I mean, one of the things that I do if I'm very busy is I tell my spouse, here's the deal. I will do 1 honeydew per day. You can pick it. She gets to pick which one I do, but that's the only one that I am going to do that day. And I will budget time for it, just like I budget time for answering emails and doing my work, whatever. I will find time to do that 1 honeydew per day. Well, sometimes 2, okay? But the point is, you don't want to have a lengthy honeydew list because that becomes a major distraction. If something's going wrong around the house, it's very easy to give that priority that it doesn't deserve. I mean, these are some of my protocols. Again, I'm not saying these are the best ways to do it. This is just what I do, and you can take it or leave it as you see fit. My daily plan can be interrupted for messages regarding an acquisition or other deal closing within the next 48 hours. Very often what I will do in situations like that, I will give the parties my cell phone number. I don't do that in other situations, but I want to make sure that I'm responding to those emails in real time. When a deal is hot and is trying to close, it really isn't time to really do anything other than that. And I want to make sure that deal is the most important thing I have going on in my life, and I want to give it the priority it deserves. Projects under extreme time pressure that can be done in 1 hour or less. I hate to share this with you, but I can review a consulting. I do represent a lot of consultants out there, a lot of self-employed consultants, and they inevitably, every week I probably do 4 or 5 consulting agreements for these people. I can review a consulting agreement in probably 10, 15 minutes, to be honest with you, and make comments and questions and do whatever. I again, prioritize the things that you can do quickly and can turn around quickly. Do those first. It's another example of that. Calls from prospective clients looking for a lawyer. When people refer someone to a lawyer, they usually give 2 or 3 referrals, and I'll tell you a dirty little secret. The attorney that responds first is the one that gets the business. So whenever I see that someone, a score counselor perhaps, is sending me someone, I find the time to respond to that quickly, so that I'm the one who is likely to get the business. Messages from key clients generating $5,000 or more in revenue each month. I hate to say it, but size does matter. If I have a client that's providing me with $5,000 or a month more in revenue, that person is going to get a lot more priority than someone who is only giving me $200 of revenue and they only call me once every 3 years. I hate to say that, but that's just a fact of life. Queries from journalists looking for content for a magazine article. I am considered something of a small business guru. I get lots of calls from journalists, usually from trade publications, the Wisconsin Journal of Left-Handed Auto Mechanics, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of publications like that out there. And they're looking for, small business content. How do we cope with the coronavirus, whatever. I will always find time for that because I was a journalist before I became a lawyer. Before I went to law school, I was a journalist. I wrote for the Gannett paper, newspapers in upstate New York. And I knew when I was on deadline and I needed quotes for an article, if I could get through to somebody quickly, that was the person that got quoted, even though they weren't the best people necessarily. So I always respond to that. That's one of my major marketing strategies. All right. The 6 things you need to work from home: privacy. Your home office should ideally be a dedicated workspace, preferably a separate room, not part of a room used for other things. That's very important when you're trying to take the home office deduction. If you're self-employed, we'll talk about that a little bit easier. Technology: desktop computer, laptop, smartphone, lots of backup. Ideally, if you have other family members working at home, which many of you do, each family member should have his or her own PC or laptop. You should not be sharing your work laptop with a grade school kid who has to do assignments for school. That can get really messy after a while. It not only is it a battle over time, but it's also a major security issue. Do you really want your grade school kid to have access to your password for your work files? That can be rather dangerous. We'll talk more about computer security later on. It's a very important topic. You need space for files, your library, and other physical world records. Paper is not as yet dead, although I think the coronavirus shutdown will accelerate its demise. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Professional telephone coverage. If your telephone answering message has a screaming kid in the background, that just doesn't sound professional. I'm sorry. Your call should be professional, but don't overdo it. I have clients who do this. They work from home. It's only them, and their phone message is, "Hi, you have reached the offices of whatever enterprises. For sales, press 1. For service, press 2. For Cliff, press 3." And all 3 things go exactly to the same, message machine. Don't do that. That just destroys your image. I mean, just keep it simple. Just simply say, "Hi, I can't get to the phone right now. Call me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can." Boom. Short and sweet. That's the best way to do it. Maybe use it for a little bit of marketing. "Hi, I'm Cliff Ennico. My latest book is so-and-so. Call me. I'll get back to you." Try to get a little marketing message in there. Marketing materials. I apologize. There is no handout. I usually do this as a live presentation, but I do have a little outline on what for home-based consultants who are working from home and how they should market for themselves. And if you want, you can send me an email and I will send you a copy, when time permits. I'm perfectly happy to do that. Your website and LinkedIn profile are of paramount importance. We are moving toward a digital society. I think the coronavirus pandemic will make it more of a digital society. Consider getting a virtual assistant. I'm not a big fan of them. I'll be I don't like using any of the services that are out there because I hate to say it, because nobody knows how to pronounce my last name. If you're calling my office and somebody gets on the phone and says, "Yes, Mr. Ennico is not available," you're dealing with a virtual assistant. I care more about my professional image than that. Make sure, if you're using a virtual assistant, make sure they're around for the long haul and that they run their home offices as professionally as you do. Okay, let's talk about virtual meetings here, like the one we are on right now. You should be using one of the free conference call services for purely audio phone calls. The one that I use is freeconferencecallhd.com, but there's a ton of them out there. If you search online for free conference call or free teleconferencing, you'll get like a dozen companies, and they're all fairly good. They give you a phone number in Iowa or someplace like that people have to dial into at certain times, and you can do your call this way. Usually these services are free as long as there are only 2 or 3 participants on each call. More than that, you may have to subscribe. Zoom, for example, I understand that they have waived their fees temporarily during the pandemic, but if you're going to do a Zoom call with 6 participants, you may have to subscribe and pay. I think it's something like $20 a month. Budley would actually know better than I would. Here are some tips for Zoom meetings. Schedule calls for off times. Right now, everybody and his or her brother is using Zoom. At any given time, there are thousands of calls going on Zoom, and thousands of meetings like this one. If you schedule your call for 2 p.m., you may get into a bandwidth situation, or 11 a.m. is also another very popular time for calls. Consider scheduling your call for off times, like 2:07, 11:40, or something like that. You'll have more of a chance of getting through. This is going to be especially important if the pandemic goes for another month. Everybody is going to be communicating via Zoom. Invest in a good headset. Even though Zoom allows allows you to dial in from your smartphone and do the audio that way. I have been on Zoom meetings where the phone has for some reason, the phone call was dropped. And that is very embarrassing. You got the whole room of people waiting to hear your voice, and you have to figure out a way to frantically dial back in. Get yourself a good headset. Go to Staples or Office Max if they're still open. Logitech is the company that's most popular. Log into the computer audio rather than dialing in from a landline or smartphone. Try to do audio only calls as much as possible. There's two reasons for that. Number one, it saves bandwidth, and also, let's face it, people want your information. They want to see your PowerPoint. They want to hear your voice. They don't necessarily need to see your lips moving. Another great advantage of this, of course, is that you can do your virtual meeting naked. It's much easier for you to do that if you so desire. Use a Zoom backdrop. Zoom allows you to use backdrops. If you're going to use a webcam, use one of the Zoom backdrops. One of my clients uses a Zoom backdrop that's like it's like a piece of AstroTurf with a golf ball on it. He's a very avid golfer. It's much nicer to look at that than the background of his office, which I'm sure is a bloody mess. There was a great New York Times article not too long ago, The Do's and Don'ts of Online Video Meetings. I would definitely recommend you read this. Okay, protecting your home office, computer security. This is a very important topic. My friend Bud Freund, an avid SCORE counselor, is going to be doing an all-day program on this tomorrow from 12 to 1, so I don't want to steal any of his thunder. A lot of this comes from him. But I just want to cover some very, very basic things about protecting your home office. Let's talk about offline, first of all. Let's talk about insurance. If you are working from home as a telecommuter, one of the questions you have to ask your employer is, will their insurance cover home-based activities? That's a very complicated question. A lot of HR departments, corporate HR departments, are wrestling with this right now. You want to know whether or not you have to get your own insurance to cover things that happen. So if a tree falls through your house and wipes out your home office, will that be covered by your employer's insurance, or are they going to be looking to your homeowners to cover that? Something you should be aware of if you work out of the home, your homeowner's policy normally does not cover a home business, a home-based business. What you have to do there is you have to get what they call the home office rider on your homeowner's policy. It's a separate premium. It's usually not that much. It's only maybe less than $100 a year to get the home office rider. But definitely, if you think you're going to be working out of the home for a lengthy period of time, you want to make sure that you are covered. So get the home office rider on your homeowner's policy. Call your insurance, your provider today. Business interruption insurance, very, very important. A lot of people overlook this when they work out of a home office, but it's a very big mistake to do that. Right now, a lot of people are regretting that they did not buy business interruption insurance, especially my retail clients. If you have a brick and mortar small business, business interruption insurance is essential. This is the insurance that will pay your rent payments, your franchise royalty payments, all of your monthly fixed costs in the event that your business is shut down due to any kind of a crisis, not just a pandemic, a flood, fire, hurricanes, whatever. This is the insurance that will keep you in business. When the pandemic is over and we return to normal, if you are self-employed, make it one of your priorities to take out a policy of business interruption so you will be ready for the next pandemic. Now we're going to talk a little bit about online security. Here's a great quote from my friend Bud Freund, and it's his quote. I'm not going to take credit for anything he does. He knows a lot more than I do about this stuff. Your PC or laptop isn't just your computer anymore. It's your everything thing. That is from him, and he is exactly right. You're not just talking now about a computer. This right now, this device, whether it's a laptop, a tablet, whatever, this is how you are communicating with the outside world. If your company has provided you with a laptop or other PC, use that instead of your home PC laptop for work. Why? Because your corporate IT department has probably put a lot of wonderful security things in there that most people cannot get for their home computers. That's a much more secure machine than anything that you would buy on your own from Costco. Use that if you're going to be working from home. If you do if you're working from home computers and you're responsible for buying them, invest in a dedicated laptop for each family member. Your business colleagues should not be seeing your kids' homework assignment. Similarly, they should not be seeing all the video games and stuff. If you have teenagers in the house, they may be surfing online looking for stuff. You definitely do not want to see you want your boss to see that. Okay, these are some tips from Brian. I'm not going to get in his face. A lot of this stuff he's going to be covering during his program tomorrow. The one thing, though, that I do want to stress on this slide is backup. Backup becomes essential if you are working from a home computer and not a computer that was provided, by your company. Back up your data 4 times. This is essential. First, on your PC or laptop. Second, to a CD, thumb drive, or external hard drive. I'm actually nowadays, I'm not a big fan of thumb drives. I have lost a couple over the years, fortunately with nothing on them. They're very easy to misplace. I have invested in an external hard drive. You can get these on Amazon or eBay. They generally run you about $50. The most popular company is a company called Seagate, Seagate. But there are others out there that are just as good. You basically plug this into your USB, and then at the end of your workday, it backs up not just your files, but your entire computer onto this external hard drive. Third, you want to back up to a cloud-based backup service. You should subscribe to one of these. Mozy, Carbonite, iBackup happens to be the one that I use. They run $19.95 a month. Very worth it. You program it, and at a certain time of day, it backs up your entire computer to a cloud-based application that cannot be accessed from your Microsoft 365. So if you do download ransomware, or if a hacker gets into your system, they'll be able to get everything that you have on your PC or laptop, but they will not be able to get to the iBackup account. And then last but not least, consider investing in a program called File History if you're in Microsoft land, or Time Machine Apple. These are again program backup sources. And then basically, when you are finished working, shut down your computer. Something you need to know, a lot of you use Dropbox, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, which is the one that I use. These are not backup services. These are just online access. So if you are unfortunate enough to download a ransomware program, it will not only affect what's in your Microsoft 365, it will also get to your OneDrive file as well. These are not backup services. Again, this is advice from Budley, and his best advice: don't download anything stupid. Should you do the home office deduction? If you are working from home for the convenience of your employer during the pandemic, you will not qualify for the home office deduction. You will not be able to take it. If you are self-employed, if you are filing Schedule C, then the answer is you should take the home office deduction. There's a lot of bad information online about this. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, the home office deduction was an audit trigger. The IRS focused on that because the rules were very complicated. It was very easy to make mistakes, especially people like doctors or surgeons. They would use their home office as to do all their billing and their administrative stuff, but obviously they weren't performing surgeries in their home. So the IRS was taking the position that really wasn't their primary place of business. The hospital, the ER was really and a lot of doctors got nailed with that. And it got a lot of bad press. The home office deduction is not an audit trigger anymore. It isn't. They changed the rules. There were some Supreme Court cases about 10 years ago that clarified a lot of the rules, and it is not an audit trigger. You are at no greater risk of being audited if you file it. In fact, you're crazy if you don't, because it could be the biggest deduction that you take. Here are some tips for the home office deduction if you are taking it. First of all, measure your home office accurately. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they don't do an accurate inventory. Right now, as we're doing this program, of course, it's kind of a hard to do this. If it were not for the pandemic, I would say get a local contractor. They're not that busy right now. It's kind of the winter months right now. They're not all that busy. Have them come over to your home and have them do a professional measurement of your home office so that you get the accurate square footage. Obviously, that's hard to do now, but there are some tools that you can buy. Do not just take a yardstick and go end over end and do a rough calculation. A lot of people cheat themselves. Whenever you measure your home office yourself, you almost always underestimate the square footage of the home office. Again, you want to do this accurately because, as you know, the way the home office deduction works, you can take a deduction of a certain percentage. It's really a fraction of of all your household expenses. When you take the home office deduction, you can deduct a fraction of all of your household expenses. Your mortgage payments, not maybe not your mortgage payments, but all your household expenses, your lawn care, your cleaning person who comes over to your house, and the fraction, the numerator, the top number of the fraction is the number of square feet in your home office. The bottom number, the denominator, is the total square footage of your home, measured internally, from internal wall to internal wall. That's the fraction, whatever that, and you want to get that fraction right. So measure your home office accurately. Make sure you get the actual square footage of your house that's on the real estate records. Don't trust your memory on stuff like this. And then the second rule is keep personal stuff out of your office. My rule here is a very simple one. If you would have it in a real office, in a corporate office building, it's okay to have it in your home office as well. So pictures of your spouse and kids, absolutely. Picture of your dog, okay. A CD player, if you're working after hours, you want to listen to music while you're working, that's fine. A crib, no. Artwork should be limited to those things that you would have in a real office. If you were working at, again, it's just common sense. Whenever the IRS audits a home office, the first thing they look for is inappropriate furniture. A doggy bed, no, unless of course it is a service animal, a seeing eye dog. That's okay. But other than that, keep inappropriate stuff out of your office. Your home office should look like a real office. It shouldn't look too cozy and too comfortable. It's okay to add storage or warehouse space. So for example, a lot of eBay sellers keep their inventory in their basement, and it's perfectly okay to add that to the home office space for purposes of calculating the deduction, but only that space, not the whole basement, unless you're using the whole basement to store your inventory. When in doubt, another use for duct tape. A lot of eBay sellers and Amazon sellers do this. Take some duct tape and actually put it on the floor of your basement and measure out the space that you're actually using for inventory storage. Use the duct tape to determine the boundary of that, and then only take what's within the duct tape as your home office inventory space. Don't use, if the IRS auditor goes down to your basement and sees a ping pong table and you're deducting your whole basement as an inventory space, that's not going to work. He's going to disallow the deduction. Can you deduct a rented apartment? You can. The rules allow for that. Can you deduct someone else's home? The short answer is you can. That sounds like such a weird question, but a lot of eBay sellers store their inventory in somebody else's home. A friend has a barn or something like that, especially in rural areas, and they allow them to use the barn space to store their inventory. You can't take a home office deduction on somebody else's home. What you should be doing there is if you are storing inventory or things in other people's homes, you should be leasing that space from them, and you can deduct the lease payments. That you can do. That's how you should handle it if you're storing stuff at other people's homes. Can you deduct out-of-home expenses such as lawn care? Technically, you are not supposed to deduct expenses that occur outside the home because that's not where your home office is, unless, of course, you have a lemonade stand, in which case it's on your front lawn. But best thing to do about the home office deduction, whenever you file the home office deduction, you don't file that as part of your Schedule C. You have to fill out a separate form, which is IRS Form 8829. go to irs.gov and download the form and read the instructions. The instructions are actually quite clear. They did a very good job of this. They're written in plain English, and most people can understand them. Okay, so what do you do now when the crisis has passed? All right. During the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, there was a very popular song called "How You Gonna Keep Them Down on the Farm After They've Seen Paris." The idea was you got all the boys who were fighting in World War I. They were all coming back to the U.S. at the same time. They've experienced the world. They've seen Europe. And a lot of these were farm kids from the Midwest and the South and all that had never been outside the country their entire life. Once they come back, how are you going to get them to go back on the farm and live that life again when they've seen, the glories of Europe? It was a fun song that described, what a lot of people were going through psychologically at that time. Now, this time, they're going to be singing a different song, and it's going to be almost exactly the opposite. How are you going to get them back to Paris once they've been down on the farm? Especially if this pandemic lasts another month or two, people are going to get quite comfortable and quite used to working out of their homes. And I think a lot of companies are going to have trouble getting people to go back to a normal office routine. And let's face it, a lot of companies, both large and small, are going to be using the pandemic as an excuse to reduce or eliminate costly brick and mortar operations. They're not going to go back to full strength right away, and they may find that they can operate with a much reduced staff and people working virtually. This is going to have a big change in the way we do things. I mean, it's not anything new. For the last 10, 15 years, we have been moving toward a digital economy and world. And this is only going to accelerate it. It's going to make it go faster. A lot of people are going to find that they're comfortable working this way, and they're going to be pressuring. They're going to find that most people find that they are more productive when they work out of the house because they're not being dragged into unnecessary meetings. There's no wasted time. The article in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, quoted someone as saying that when I go to work, I spend 9 hours in the office, but I'm only getting 4 hours of work done. Here, I'm working only 6 hours a day, but they are all productive hours. So I'm actually performing better for my employer working out of the house than I am. And a lot of employees are going to make that argument, and that argument is going to be successful. And let's face it, a lot of us just don't like other people anyway. As Jean-Paul Sartre said, hell is other people. So let's wrap this up and we'll take some questions. We're all virtual workers now, whether we like it or not. Welcome to the club. Find ways to cope with loneliness, boredom, and letting yourself go. Very important. If a month from now you go back to work and you look like a Neanderthal, clearly that you did not follow this rule. You care about your appearance. Don't let your appearance shave every day. Make sure you do stuff like that. Don't get lazy. Develop interruption protocols to minimize distractions. Stay focused. Give yourself a couple of projects each day that you are absolutely going to get done. And during the day, you don't do anything else until those things are done. Develop interruption protocols. If you have kids at home, don't get interrupted if something's going on, unless, of course, there's blood. Consider investing in Zoom or other virtual meeting software. I'm actually thinking of purchasing the Zoom meeting software. Once this is all over, I'm just finding that as I get more familiar with the Zoom software, this is a wonderful way to do webinars, not just SCORE webinars, but other things that I do. And I'm actually thinking of paying the $25 a month or whatever it is as a Schedule C filer. I can deduct that. Become obsessive about the privacy and security of your everything things when working online. When you are working from home, you are your IT department, and you have to be responsible for privacy and security. Remember the 4 different places you have to back things up. Make sure you do it. It isn't just your computer anymore, it's your everything. That's from my good friend Bud Freund. Get a really good insurance person to help you get the right coverage for your home office equipment and data and stuff like that, because that is your responsibility. A lot of people don't know this, but if a tree falls on your house, your homeowner's policy will replace the roof, but it will not replace your destroyed computer that you use in a home office. You need to get the home office rider for that. Make sure you are covered for that. Last but not least, if you qualify for the home office deduction, you are crazy not to take it. Just follow the rules and be conservative. Don't be too piggy. Don't deduct things that, if your spouse is giving you a massage, every day, you cannot deduct him or her as a masseuse. Don't try to do that. People get crazy sometimes with these deductions. Especially, do not try to deduct your Chihuahua as a guard dog. Okay, there actually, the IRS has some pretty specific rules about deducting guard dogs, believe it or not. And if we have time during the Q&A, I'll talk about those. They're actually kind of funny. So that's it. These are some of my best-selling books. Small Business Survival Guide actually has several chapters dealing with working from a home office. And this is my eBay Seller's Tax and Legal Answer book. If you sell on eBay or Amazon, this is the book that basically discusses the legal and tax issues of online retail. And this is what I look like when I am not working from my home office. Those of you who want to send me an email and want that little one-page thing on marketing the home-based consulting business, just send me an email and say, Cliff, want your handout, and I will be happy to respond as quickly as I can. Mike and Bud, that's all I have to say. I think we have a few minutes left. Let's try to take some questions and answers.
Okay, thank you, Cliff. And we'll use our remaining time up until 1 o'clock to take as many questions as we can. For those of you who may have a question, please submit them in the chat box, which is in the lower portion of your screen. Cliff, opening question for you would be, since you work from home, where do you meet with your clients?
If you work from home, you should be meeting with them virtually. That's what should be happening. You should be working with them virtually. You really should not be meeting with them in, a coffee shop in the neighborhood. The coffee shops are still functioning. I'm discouraging people from doing that. We should be maintaining the 6 feet of separation, and it's hard to do that. The meeting should be virtual. If you want to make it more personal, you can install a webcam, which people can see you while you're talking, and it makes it more personal. If you have multiple people on the meeting, it can actually do like a Brady Bunch thing where you can see, all other 5 participants and what they're doing. But, there are limits to this. If you're participating in a big meeting via Zoom, you have to remember that the camera is always on you, even when you are not talking. So if you have to sneeze, or pick your nose or do something like that, other people are going to see it. Or if people are wandering around behind you, go online and search for BBC Guy. This is at the very beginning of the pandemic, this BBC broadcaster in England was broadcasting live from his home office, and he was reporting a very serious story, something to do with the economy, and his kids break into the start, jumping all over him, and the dogs jumping all over him. The poor guy is trying to maintain a straight face. Be very careful when you're on online meetings to shut your door and really block off the world to the extent you can.
Okay, good, Cliff. We've got a few questions regarding technology. I guess the best way to sum up is how do you handle any technical problems you have with your IT, and how do you get the advice regarding improving your IT, Wi-Fi service, et cetera?
Okay. Well, I personally subscribe to a virtual tech support service. It's a company. There are several of them. There's a company called TCSP, the Computer Support People. They're based in Norwalk. There are a number of franchises. There's one, Linda Coopersmith's one in Stanford. But basically online technical support. The idea, these are virtual people. They work out of their homes. If something happens, what they do is they want you to download a program which allows them to access your PC in real time, and they can actually do tech support and troubleshooting from a remote distance. You don't have to have them over to your house. They don't charge a monthly fee or any regular fee. They only charge you when you have a problem. They usually charge by the hour. Just like an attorney would, and they're lifesavers. When my computer is down, I have literally minutes to get back up online, and I've been very satisfied with the service that I have gotten from both of these services. Linda Coopersmith's franchise is called CMIT Solutions. CMIT Solutions. She's based in Stanford. Otherwise, the Computer Support People, TCSB, in Norwalk.
Okay, great. Another one sort of technology related. I don't know if you deal with this, Cliff, but someone would like to know if you want to record an interview or conversation, would you have a service you might recommend for that?
Well, if you're doing Zoom, there is a facility where they can record it. I confess I'm not really complete with other solutions that are out there. I'm sure Bud Freund will be discussing this during his webinar tomorrow. But if you are using a virtual meeting platform, they should have the capacity to record it and save it as an MP4 file so that it will be uploaded onto YouTube or other platforms. So, for example, once this is over, in a couple of days, I will be uploading it to my YouTube channel, which, by the way, let's say a word about that. For those of you who want other, things about Cliff Ennico and want to understand what I'm doing, I do have about 40 1-hour videos posted to YouTube. If you go to youtube.com and search for Cliff Ennico, you will see everything that I have up there. On virtually any topic that's of interest to small business. And in a couple of days, this program will be uploaded there. It will also be available on the archive section at the Fairfield County SCORE website.
Okay, that's great. Cliff, any just final words, the last 30 seconds or so?
Just wishing everybody to stay home and stay safe. As Thomas Paine once said, these are the times that try people's souls. Working out of the house is difficult, especially if you're not used to it. But we all have to get through this together, and it's very important that we not congregate at this point. Give the healthcare providers time to get their act together and to be able to handle all the people who desperately need that help. We will be doing a webinar next Tuesday, April 7th. Let me give that a plug. I will be talking specifically about how small businesses can survive the coronavirus pandemic. That'll be next Tuesday, April the 7th from 12 to 1. You would register the same way that you registered for this program today.
That's great. Thank you, Cliff. And as a reminder, recording of this webinar will be available in a couple of days on fairfieldcounty.score.org. Our next webinar will be tomorrow. Bud Freund will be speaking at noon tomorrow on tech safety while working from home. And again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on the next screen here. Cliff, you can pop it up for us and request a mentor. And you'll also get an evaluation form in an email. We really appreciate very much if you could fill out that evaluation form and send it back to us. That really helps us improve our programs. And on behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's SCORE live webinar. And in closing, a big thank you to Cliff Ennico for presenting today. And have a nice day, everyone.